I need you to think about something for a second. Think about your home, the place you sleep every night, the place you feel safest, the place where you lock the door behind you and exhale, because you're finally somewhere that's yours. Now imagine finding out that feeling was a lie. Imagine finding out that for weeks, maybe longer, someone else had been inside that space, eating your food, sleeping in your home, watching you, and you had no idea. This is not a story I enjoy telling, because even now, years later, I cannot walk into a room in my own house without checking the corners first. What I'm about to tell you is exactly what happened to me in my own home in a quiet neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. And it started with something so small, so easy to explain away, that I almost missed it entirely. It started with a coffee mug. I live alone. I have lived alone for 6 years. I am by nature a very organized person. Everything in my kitchen has a place. The mugs hang on hooks to the left of the stove, handles facing right, always. That's just how I do it. One Monday morning in February, I walked into my kitchen and one mug was sitting on the counter. Not on the hook, on the counter, right side up, like someone had used it and set it down. I stared at it for a long time, and then I told myself I must have left it there the night before and forgotten. I'd had a long week, I was tired, it was just a mug. I put it back on the hook and went to work. 3 days later, I came home to find the mug on the counter again. Same mug, same spot. I live alone. I had not used that mug. I hadn't touched it since I put it back. I told myself maybe I was sleepwalking. I told myself maybe I was more stressed than I realized. I told myself a lot of things over the next 2 weeks because the alternative was something I wasn't ready to consider. The alternative was that someone else was using my mug. After the mug, I started noticing other things, small things, the kind of things that are so minor you feel crazy even mentioning them. Food going faster than it should. I bought a loaf of bread on a Sunday. By Wednesday, it was almost gone. I eat 1 or maybe 2 slices a day. The math didn't add up. A blanket on my couch that I always fold a specific way, folded differently. Not messy, not thrown around, just folded in a slightly different way, like someone had used it and tried to put it back. The shower. My shower has a glass door, and when I use it, water spots end up in a specific pattern based on how I stand and where the water hits. One morning, I noticed the water spots were different, lower, like someone shorter had used it. Each of these things alone means nothing. A missing slice of bread, a refolded blanket, water spots on a shower door. But together they were telling me something I refused to hear. My house is a 3-bedroom. I use the master bedroom and a second room as an office. The third bedroom, at the end of the hall, I use for storage. Old furniture, boxes from when I moved in, a broken treadmill I kept telling myself I'd fix. I had no reason to go in there. I hadn't been in that room in at least 2 months. One night in early March, I was walking down the hall to my office and I noticed the storage room door was open. Not wide open, just cracked, maybe 2 inches. I always keep that door closed, always. The latch sticks and you have to push it firmly to get it to click shut. It doesn't swing open on its own. I stood in that hallway for probably a full minute just staring at that 2-inch gap of darkness. Then I told myself the latch must have finally given out. Old house, old doors. I walked over, pushed it shut until I heard it click, and went to bed. But I didn't sleep. I laid in the dark, and I stared at my ceiling, and something in my chest would not let go. That low, quiet alarm that your body sounds when your brain is still making excuses. At 2 in the morning, I got up, walked to the storage room, and opened the door. I don't know what I expected to find. What I found was nothing, just my boxes, my old furniture, the broken treadmill in the corner. But something felt different. I couldn't explain it. The air felt slightly warmer than the rest of the house, and there was a smell, faint but there, something human, like someone had been in that room recently. I told myself I was losing my mind. I was not losing my mind. It was my neighbor Karen who finally made me take it seriously. Karen is in her 60s, retired, home most of the day. She called me on a Thursday afternoon while I was at work. She said, and I remember this almost word for word, she said, "I don't want to alarm you, but I saw someone in your backyard yesterday. I figured it was you, but then I realized you drive a gray car, and this person went in through the back door. I didn't see what they were driving." I asked her what time. She said around 11 in the morning. I had been at work since 8. I left my office, drove home in 20 minutes, and walked through every room in my house. Everything looked normal. But I went to the storage room, and this time I didn't just open the door and look from the hallway. I went inside. I moved boxes, and behind the largest stack, pushed back against the far wall, I found it. A flattened piece of cardboard on the floor, folded into a rough rectangle, the size of a person. Next to it, a water bottle, a granola bar wrapper, a small flashlight, and a phone charger, plugged into the outlet behind the boxes. Someone had been living in my storage room. I ran out of that house so fast I left my keys on the kitchen counter. I sat in my car in the driveway and called 911. My hands were shaking so badly I misdialed twice. When the dispatcher answered, I told her what I'd found. She kept her voice calm and told me to stay outside, do not go back in. Officers were on the way. 4 police cars arrived within 8 minutes. They searched the house room by room, every closet, under every bed, the attic, the basement, the garage. They found no one inside, but what they found confirmed everything. In the storage room, underneath the cardboard, they found a spare key. Not my key, a copy. Someone had made a copy of my house key. In the kitchen, inside the cabinet above the refrigerator, a place I never used, they found 3 cans of food, a can opener, a spoon. In the bathroom attached to the storage room hallway, a small bathroom I almost never used, they found a toothbrush. Behind the pipes under the sink, tucked back where you'd never see it unless you were looking. This person had not just been inside my home, they had been living there, quietly, carefully, deliberately, building a life inside of mine. The detective who walked me through it said that he had seen this before. Not often, but before. He called it uninvited cohabitation. He said these individuals are typically non-confrontational. They choose unoccupied spaces, move carefully, and rely on the occupant's tendency to rationalize small disturbances. He said most people never find out. He said the signs are almost always there. And then he asked me something that I still think about. He asked me how long the coffee mug thing was happening. I told him about 3 weeks. He nodded slowly and said the charger behind the boxes, the phone charger, had been plugged in long enough that the outlet cover had slight discoloration from the heat. He estimated someone had been using that room for 6 to 8 weeks. They never caught him. I want to be clear about that, because I think people assume these stories end with an arrest, with closure. They don't always. The security footage from my neighbor 2 doors down showed a man entering through my back gate 3 separate times over 6 weeks. Medium height, dark clothing, a hood pulled up. The footage quality was poor. The face was never clearly visible. Police canvassed the neighborhood, filed a report, ran the description. Nothing came of it. I changed every lock in the house within 24 hours. Deadbolts, chain locks,
a security system installed within the week, motion sensor lights on every corner of the property. None of it made me feel safe. Because here is what I kept coming back to. This person had been inside my home while I was sleeping. Not just when I was at work, while I was asleep in my bedroom 20 feet away. They had walked past my bedroom door. They had used my kitchen. They had sat on my couch under my blanket, and I had slept through it all. The detective told me they likely watched my schedule for weeks before ever coming inside. They knew when I left. They knew when I came back. They knew my patterns better than some people who knew my name. That thought that I had been studied undid me more than anything.
I stayed with my sister for 3 weeks after that. I couldn't be alone in that house. I'd walk into a room and stand in the doorway for 10 seconds before entering, just listening. I'd check behind the shower curtain every single time. I'd open closets before I went to bed, every night, every closet. My sister said I needed to talk to someone. She was right. The therapist I saw, a woman who specialized in home invasion trauma, told me that what I was experiencing had a name. She said the violation of domestic space triggers a specific kind of anxiety because home is neurologically coded as the one place the threat response is supposed to be off. When that safety is broken, the brain doesn't easily reset. She was right about that too. 6 months later, I moved. Different neighborhood, different house. Brand new locks installed before I ever brought a single box inside. The new house has an alarm system, cameras on every door, motion sensors, a reinforced back gate with a lock that requires a key from both sides. I check the storage room every single night before I go to bed. Every night. Because I know something now that I didn't know before all of this. The coffee mug was always trying to tell me. The blanket was trying to tell me. The shower door, the bread, the smell in that room at 2 in the morning. Everything was trying to tell me. I just wasn't listening. I'm telling you this because I want you to listen. Not to me, to your home. If something feels off, a door that shouldn't be open, food you don't remember eating, a smell that doesn't belong, do not explain it away. Do not tell yourself you're tired or stressed or imagining things. Check your home, all of it. The rooms you don't use, the closets you haven't opened in months, the spaces behind the boxes in your storage room. Check the outlets, because if someone is living in your home, they need power, and they are counting on you to keep making excuses. Don't make it easy for them. Stay aware, stay safe, and tonight, before you go to sleep, check every room.